Have you ever looked at your email inbox and just felt completely buried? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're going to dive into the story of Wan Yi, a solo developer and blogger who decided to fight back against that information overload. But he didn't use some off-the-shelf app. Nope, he built his very own custom AI assistant. Let's break down how he turned a mountain of 24,000 emails into a seriously powerful tool. All right, here's the game plan. We're going to follow his journey in 5 parts. First, we'll get a handle on the problem he was facing. Then, we'll see how he actually built the AI's brain and then trained it. After that, we'll look at the WordPress plugin that brought it all to life. And to wrap it up, we'll go over the key lessons he learned along the way. So, let's set the scene. Meet Wan Yi. He's a content creator, which means he has to stay right on the cutting edge of tech and AI. But he was up against a challenge that I think a lot of us can relate to. Just a massive, overwhelming flood of information. And this number says it all. 24,000 unread emails. I mean, can you even imagine? This wasn't just some digital clutter he needed to clean up. It was a genuine barrier. All the good stuff, the raw material for his next big article, was buried in there, but finding it was practically impossible. And he put it perfectly himself. For him, speed is everything. To stay relevant, he needed to chew through tons of info, figure out what actually mattered, and turn it into content for his audience. And he had to do it fast. His inbox was actively working against him. So here's the key. He wasn't just trying to get to inbox 0. No way. The goal was way bigger. He wanted to build a tool that would live right inside his existing workflow. A personal AI assistant that could do the heavy lifting for him, cut down on that constant focus-destroying shuffle between different apps and tabs. Okay, so that brings us to the first part of the actual solution, building the AI's brain. This is all about the back-end work, creating a data pipeline that could take all that email chaos and turn it into something structured and smart. This whole process basically had 4 key stages to turn that chaos into order. It all started with extracting the useful bits from his emails. Then, he had to auto-label all that content into different categories. After that, and this is super important, he had to analyze the data to see if it was balanced. And finally, he could store it all in a nice, clean database. Now, this is where he hit his first major wall. After just 1 round of extraction, he already had over 300 little news snippets. I mean, labeling all of that by hand? Forget about it. It would have taken ages. So instead of doing it himself, he got a small, local AI model to do the grunt work for him. But, it wasn't exactly plug and play. His first try, using a llama model, was a total disaster. It just didn't get the instructions and spat out this messy, unusable text. But after a bit of trial and error, he switched to a model called Quencoder, and boom, it worked perfectly, giving him the clean, structured data he needed. It's a fantastic reminder that in AI, picking the right model and testing your prompts is absolutely everything. All right, so the data is finally clean and labeled. Now it was time for the really cool part. Taking that data and using it to train a custom machine learning model that could classify new stuff all on its own. But hold on, before he even started training, he did something incredibly important. He ran what's called an exploratory data analysis, or EDA. Think of it like checking your ingredients before you start cooking. He had to know if his data was lopsided, because an AI model will only ever be as good as the data you feed it. And yep, the results from that analysis are crystal clear right here. You can see he had tons of data for topics like business and enthusiast, but almost nothing for e-commerce and policy. An imbalance like this, that is a huge red flag in the machine learning world. So to measure how well his model was doing, he used a metric called Hamming loss. Now, don't worry, it sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. For what he needed, getting some of the labels right on an article was way more important than getting every single label perfect. Hamming loss just measures the percentage of wrong labels, so a lower score is better. It was the perfect tool for the job. And the final result? Well, no surprise here, it was exactly what that data analysis predicted would happen. The model was a champ at finding business and creative articles, but it really, really struggled with e-commerce and policy. This just proved that golden rule of machine learning. A model is bad at what it rarely sees. All right, so we've got this powerful AI brain, but a brain's not much use without a body, right? So let's talk about the front end, the part that makes this whole thing useful, a custom WordPress plugin. But here's something that's really central to his whole philosophy. He's not trying to build a robot writer to replace people, not at all. He believes AI should be a collaborator, a helpful assistant that makes things faster, but the human writer should always, always have the final say. And here's how it all comes together in practice. A writer can use a big model like Gemini to get a first draft going. Then, bam, they hit a button and Wani's custom model suggests a bunch of tags. But, and this is the most important part, the writer can then change those tags, add new ones, whatever they want. And as a final touch, the plugin suggests related articles to help them build out their post. It's a true human-AI partnership.
So, after all that work, what are the biggest lessons you can take away from building a personal AI from scratch? Let's get into the key insights from this whole project. First up, this idea of a small language model, that's the custom one he built, versus a big large language model like Gemini. For a really specific repetitive job like tagging articles, his small model was faster, cheaper, and since he controlled the data, it was more accurate for his needs. He used the big guy for what it's good at, generating text, and his custom-built little guy for what it's good at, classifying it. Right tool for the right job. And Miss' next point is, I think, really powerful. The crazy part is, Wani hadn't actually built a WordPress plugin in years. But AI coding assistants basically held his hand the whole way. He really believes that AI is making software development more accessible for everyone, lowering the barrier for people to build their own cool, complex tools. So if you boil it all down, his wisdom for any aspiring AI builder comes down to a few core ideas. You have to be flexible, because your first idea almost never works out perfectly. You have to obsess over your data quality, because your model is just a reflection of what you feed it. And most importantly, always design your tools to empower the user. Always keep a human in the driver's seat. You know, this whole incredible project started with just one person trying to solve a personal problem. Way too many emails. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? What's that one annoying, tedious, time-sucking part of your own work that could be completely transformed with a little bit of custom-built AI?